Ackerman, and this is my handmade home in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm an artist. I design art that goes on products, so products like wallpaper, rugs, dishes, bedding, phone cases, anything that art can go on, my art goes on. Okay, so I was drawing into a graphics tablet and then into Photoshop, and then I was creating pattern repeats. Hi, Ruth. And I was creating pattern repeats and making into fabric designs and wallpaper designs, etc. But when I started painting, everything kind of changed because they did. This is just rude. I have to get her a leash because this is ridiculous. Hey, Cab, look at this dog. What was I saying? So when I started painting, it changed everything because then I had this tangible thing. The art just became more, I don't know, there was a joy to it. There was always joy, but there was a real visceral kind of joy to the art. And that's when everything really changed. And then, honest to Betsy. Throughout my home, there's color and pattern in almost every room. So I call it curated maximalism because where I think more is more, I feel like the more part of it should be intentional rather than just kind of like stuff for stuff's sake. I love mixing and matching patterns and colors, and so you'll see on the couch, I always have an animal print somewhere. And then the different scale and style of the pattern. So the chairs here have a very tight pattern where there's kind of a loose central pattern, a little larger on the round pillows, a scenic pattern here, animal print, and a geometric. And that's how you make them all go together, is by contrasting them, but having a color or something that comes through. So you'll see like this deep teal is in almost everything, and then there's a pink that comes through. I always know that I'm gonna mix furniture styles. There's gonna be modern, there's gonna be traditional. So I start with the color first. In this house, it's pink, green, orange, and white, and black. Black, there's always black. Almost every space that I have, you're gonna see black somewhere because black grounds the space. For whatever reason, even when I'm painting, adding a little black and a touch of white gives that depth that's necessary so that the painting's finished. And I think it's the same way with interiors. If you add black, it gives that depth of color. This is my favorite piece in the house. This is a chinoiserie secretary desk. I love her. I love the gold detailing and the glass and the crisscross lines in the glass and the color of it with this kind of orangey red tone. It's not quite red, it's not quite orange. One thing that I'm always really careful to do is not try to match every pink and match every green. You can use all the different tones of orange and all the different tones that lead up into pinks. When you do that, it gives you a more like textural, it gives you more depth. And so I'm very careful to make sure that I'm not trying to match. The living room leads into the dining room. It's one big room. And we have a pretty like oversized table for the space. And it's also like a really clean line. So mixing it with things that are ornate like this, but then I also mixed in art that is abstract and art that's sculptural. So things that are simple mixed with things that are more ornate is how I roll. My very favorite moment in the home right now is the mural that's behind us. I hand painted this wall here. It was a big blank wall, and so it was just screaming for me to paint something on it. And I love scenic murals, and so I just got out the acrylic paint and started. I don't sketch anything out. I just kind of go with the flow. It took about 3 months for me to just keep adding and adding and adding to it. And I can't promise that I won't walk through here one day with the paintbrush and just go whoosh, flourish something on there. It's like if it's not moving, then I'm gonna paint it probably. Ruth, you got anything there I could paint? I actually do get paint on her every once in a while. She gets walking around, I'm like, what is that tuft of yellow in your hair? So I think that florals were probably the first thing that I just was drawn to paint. And I think my love of florals really evolves out of childhood. I have memories of my mom cutting off lilacs off the branch and me wrapping it in paper towels and tin foil and carrying it to school to give to my teachers. And I also sat next to my mom as a little kid as she did a huge needlepoint, and it took her years, and it was this giant urn of flowers with this like burgundy background. So I think those memories are like in there, they're ingrained. So behind the kitchen, there was a laundry room that had a tiny little pantry closet and then a door and then a laundry room. We made that whole space a butler's pantry. This is my favorite space in the house. I just think it's so sweet and colorful, and it stores all the things that we needed to store, and it has my collection of vintage fruit and still life, and then my own painting on the wall. The painting on the wall actually was a shot out of my book, Bloom Wild, and I painted it. So it's a dining table top. I just love it. And I love that the ceiling is the same color as all the moldings, and I love all the lights. It's just a fun room. And the best thing about this room is that there was dead space in a dead corner in the kitchen, and so we used it on this side down on the bottom here for Ruthie's bowls, and there's even a little piece of vintage dog art down in her little cubby. The butler's pantry and the kitchen, we carried the wallpaper through from one room to the other, and we also carried some orange colored elements through, just really in the accessories. The tile Kevin and I put in ourselves. It took 4 different weekends that we were working on it the whole time. So I absolutely love open shelving. We had it in our last house, and initially I was a little bit afraid to have open shelving, like what if, you know, things look cluttery on the shelves. And I went through everything I had and I was like, do you really use this? And if I didn't really use it, I got rid of it. And really I did get rid of quite a lot of stuff, and I don't miss it. I recently found this adorable McCoy strawberry cheese dome, and I loved it so much since my name is Bari, and I thought, well, I'm gonna collect berries. And to me, a collection isn't a collection until you have 3, but then like 4 is clutter. So I have the cheese dome, and then I found the McCoy cookie jar, and then this strawberry container up there. In the kitchen dining nook, I wanted it to feel modern and fresh, but I also wanted to make sure that this part of the space, which is all open to the family room and the kitchen, felt like it was a separate room. The chairs, I designed a fabric and then had it printed and recovered. The rug is my design for Loloi rugs, available at Anthropologie. And then over here, I got these on Amazon, and they originally had white pleather on them. We covered them in one of my fabrics for Art Gallery fabrics. And I really like how the teals and the greens come together. And also, if you look at the scale of this, is different from the scale of the wallpaper, is different from the scale of what's on the floor. And then also you have a geometric mixed in. So that's how I kind of get away with using so many different patterns, is varying that scale, but also using color as a through line. And you need a cookie. So for this gallery wall, I started with this kind of ornate. That's so rude. You gonna continue? I started in this room with this kind of ornate. Kev, the dog. So in the family room, we have a gallery wall, and that artwork was kind of collected over time. It's centered around the mirror. So one thing that I try to think of when I'm doing a gallery wall is either I'm gonna try to match all the frames, and if I can't do that, I'm gonna try to come up with a similar theme for all of the art that's on the wall, or there's gonna be a color through line. So initially I had the molding white, but then when we painted it green and wrapped the molding in the green all the way around the room, it made such a huge difference from this big open space to bring it all together as one cohesive space. You know, surprise yourself and paint something like a ceiling or the millwork, but I promise you that if you start adding it, you will become addicted over time. very first thing that I picked for this house was this wallpaper. I just felt like it went with the house, and I was looking for years for a place where I can use it. The chandelier in the foyer, I purposely picked something that was just completely non-fussy. The banister was white, so I had it painted a shiny high gloss green. That is not for you. In the guest bedroom, there's a bed that has a heron print on it, and that bed is from Joybird, who I collaborated with to create a collection of furniture. So that was a limited edition. And then you'll see also on that bed, there is a quilt that I made that is all my prints, and there's some pillows and things like that. So the fabrics that I design are kind of scattered all over the house. So I collect a lot of the vintage floral prints from thrift shops and on eBay, antique shops, and I've collected them over the years. And the wall is already full, but sometimes there's just one that's irresistible and I have to have it. We wanted to make this space feel a little bit bigger. So I had it painted all the way from the floor up to the ceiling, Rosé Season by Claire Paint. And that helped lift the room up and make it feel just like a pretty little jewel box, I think. There's a lot of prints and patterns in this room. There's some on the floor, again, that's geometric. But to make it work, what I did was I have prints with an open space here. There's a geometric. This reads as just textural, which we, in the fabric world, we call a blender. This has some more open space in it. So you've got these, I'm just ignoring her because this is rude. I have a bad dog. I mixed in solids to break up all of the different patterns, and I think that's why it works. She's not usually like this, I swear. So this light I found at a local store that deals with vintage stuff, and this is, it's called a Hershey's Kiss light, and it's a vintage light from mid-century. And I wanted something in here that was just a little extra shiny and a little bit more like, where this is all a little bit granny, that's a bit more that's a bit more modern. And this one is a turkey. Stop, stop, stop. You know what? You can have the whole 12 minutes or whatever this video will end up being. It's all yours. Cab, can you come take this little monster? No. But I'm the star of the show. I was holding back in this room. So this is the least maximalist room. The main thing I wanted to do in this room was raise the ceiling up. And I did that by putting in a piece of art that went from all the way to the bed to the ceiling to give it some height. And also the lights give it the height as well, because you've got that other vertical line going with it. I wanted the primary bedroom to feel relaxed, but I also really love joy in a space. And I feel like if you add pattern and texture and color in any space, you're gonna get that, but I still wanted it to feel, I mean, minimal for me. So there's a minimal for other people and there's a minimal for me, and that was like my most minimal space. When people walk into my home, I want them to feel like they've been welcomed in, and that it's gonna feel cozy, and there's a place for them to sit, and if they wanna hang out in the kitchen and have a drink and eat, they're welcome here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Handmade for more home tours like this.